Technology.ie. We're in the Fells Point Hotel in Tralee in the aftermath of the What's Up Kerry, Wild Atlantic Startups Kerry event, which was held today in the Institute of Technology in Tralee. And I'm with Lisa Maree Domican. Lisa, I've known you online. I feel I've known you for years, and I have, but it's the first time we've met, and I think the first time that I've gotten to know you. So it's very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Today you were here as part of the social entrepreneurs discussion. You were on the panel this evening about caterpillars to butterflies. Tell me a little bit about your own journey as a social entrepreneur. You have children with special needs, and your journey into social entrepreneurship was really driven by a mother's need to do what her kids, or to do something for her children.
I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I never set out to have a startup, and I had all but resigned myself to the fact that I probably wouldn't work again, which was hard because I was quite driven before I had children. I was a sales rep and I was at the top of my game. But when my son wasn't developing at the pace that he should have, I had to give it up. I was very lost for a while. But when we came to Ireland in 2001, I found that the skill set I had developed as a cold calling sales rep, used to creating territories and knocking on doors, was very useful when it came to knocking down doors to get the services that I needed for my children. I was very isolated. I wasn't in my homeland. I wasn't around the people I'd gone to school with. I wasn't in the workplace. So I built my community out of other parents I met through school. And then when social media happened, it started out with boards, Roller Coaster Parents Board or boards.ie. I was quite active on Roller Coaster. It built up a community of people who I found I knew a lot more than, and I was very happy to help. So my networking ability came from that. And then when Facebook arrived, I used those skills to create a community for an autism advocacy charity. But I also found and met people who, I like spending time with, I like communicating with, and I really like sharing. I like saying, well, look, I did this and it was really hard, but this is how I did it. And people like that. And I'm a blogger. Is it okay to say that in 2014? I'm a blogger. I'm a mum blogger. So through my blog, I was actually just permanently placing that information that I was repeating all the time. And now I was just able to say, look, read this post or share this post. And the most shared posts are the ones where I'm talking about stuff. We have a phrase in Australia, fair income, and there is no alternative. It's one of those unique phrases. It means genuine, it means be real, it means these are the facts, I'm being straight with you, and it's the fair income posts that people love and share because I'm sharing what's real about me, what I've been through, good and bad, but I'm also saying this is what I did and this might help you get onto that. So that's my background.
You find, don't you, really, that people beat a path to your door, that people who go on to search engines, it's really simple, really. They're driven by the same motivations and the same concerns and worries that drove you to commit your thoughts to the blog in the first place. The search results turn up your blog and you find that you've built a community around you.
Yeah. And it's always about, people have, the internet is an amazing place, and I say that in inverted commas. There's a lot of weirdos out there who search for weird stuff. But when you put the word autism, the people who find me are the ones who really want to believe in their child, who want to help their child, but at the same time accept their child. And if they come to me and they're not interested in accepting their child, then they very quickly find they're in the wrong place. Because that's kind of what I'm about. I'm like, there's a nice coming together serendipity now where, we know what autism is. We're not locking them up and sending them off to farms or hand them over to the holy orders. We've been through that, it's so hard, it's so terrible, give us money. And I think we're in the third phase now where we say, autistic people are here. They're here to stay. And they have unique skills that they can contribute to the community. how about we start changing the community to suit them? How about we start making better citizens out of our children in primary schools and making them grow up to be adults who say, I accept you, I want you in my community, because I think we all stand to gain from that. So that's where I am. And to do that, yes, we have to play catch up. We have to say, what does this person need in order to be accepted? Well, they need communication. So that was my basic need to create the Grace app, was so that my daughter could communicate independently, not be relying on me all the time to interpret. But there are so many autistic people who need that, and they need it on their terms. We have to do that to allow them to be included. We also have to be accepting about how they are. You know, they say, in my TED talk, I say, we build ramps and we widen parking spaces and we widen doors to allow people who are physically disabled to be included in the workplace. For autistic people, we have to understand how they work. And a lot of the time it's about rigid schedules, understanding parameters, being able to accept the fact that they may not be comfortable with small talk or eye contact, and not to judge them on that, but at the same time they're rigorous, they're detail-oriented, they are very straight. You know, if you want to find out if your arse looks big in something, ask an autistic person, because they'll tell you, and you won't go out in the wrong outfit. But they have so much to offer that we should value that and say that this is an important contribution. And the lovely thing is that the tech community is all about that. They're about sequential, they're about being straight, they're about having very rigid parameters. They're not about bullshit. You cannot bullshit a computer into working for you. You have to do it the way the computer wants to do it. And there's a fairly high percentage of people who would be in the spectrum who are very successful in the online tech community. So we just have to bring those two things together and say these people have value.
It's interesting, I think, really, and I think we have the internet and we have the exposed world of that gives opportunities and platforms to advocates such as yourself to thank for it. We've heard about Temple Grandin, we've heard about... We've come a long way, really, since Rain Man, if you want to put it that way, which was maybe the first introduction to Autism Spectrum for so many people. And that message seems to be getting across. It is a wide and diverse world. There are different ways of looking at it. And not just autism, but other different isms, if you like, are coming to light and I think being accepted, and it's no longer a uniform, behind closed curtains kind of a world. No,
I think we used to outsource autism. We used to send people away, and 20 years ago someone like me would have had to stand up to the family, extended family, stand up to the priest who would come to the house and say you should send them off to the holy orders, pay attention to your husband. Like, it was very, very hard for people to keep their children in their homes and raise them. We have to be more visible, and I'm sure you've seen through my social media profile, I have a Facebook page for my daughter, a Facebook page for my son. They take selfies of what we're doing every weekend, and I do that for them because it's a really handy way to store photos and refer back to them when we're working on things like language. But a fellow rang me 2 weeks ago and he said that he has a daughter with autism. He heard me speak and he wanted me to come and speak somewhere just to encourage and inspire inclusiveness. But he said, "You're always out and about." And I thought, well, if that's all I achieve, is this idea that people with autism have to be visible. We have to be out there, because if we're not, no one's going to make accommodations. And Ireland is absolutely brilliant for that. Now, I live in North Wicklow. I spend a lot of time in South County Dublin. Every day we go to Cabinteely Park to feed the ducks. My son is whoop, 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 running ahead because he's been in school all day and he wants to charge, and my daughter's twinkling and then stopping and making her little noises. Nobody blinks an eyelid. It's very, very inclusive, it's very accepting, it's non-confrontational, and it's very relaxing for me for them to be who they are. And Ireland would probably be number one for that kind of thing, because people are so accepting. And so, from a country that came from a God help you background, when the emergency happened, every other country that was part of World War II had to come up with a disability policy because they had an awful lot of disabled people. And Ireland didn't have that, which is why they are so behind in so many ways. But as far as people including and accepting, way ahead of the rest of the world. It's a really inclusive, supportive place. And for me personally, as a parent, to be able to raise my children in that environment, that is huge. That's a very big advantage. You're also rule breakers and messers and very accepting of, sure, double yellow lines are for other people. I'll park here. I'm only going to be a minute. And while that can be annoying, it's also it's a great hothouse for people who are prepared to hack, break rules. I mean, the tech space is about hacking. It's about breaking things, finding a better way to do things. So I think that's brilliant as well. And, to be able to do what I'm doing, I'm pretty sure I probably could only have done it in Ireland.
You're talking about, say, within your community of parents of children with autism spectrum and special needs, and there is support given and support received. In the broader entrepreneurship space and the social entrepreneurship space, do you see the same kind of support?
Within the community of fellow entrepreneurs, absolutely. Within tech space is hugely supportive. The tech guys were booking me, a month after I launched, and they wanted to hear about me. And I'm like, I don't code, I'm not tech. And they're like, no, we want to hear your story because you created a viable product on your own. The official space, the existing space, very slow. Very, very slow. And I've come to call these people the gatekeepers. These are the people that don't have the knowledge, don't understand it, and they'd rather say it doesn't work or it won't happen than learn how to do it. So, if you're a care worker who's working in a respite centre for adults and you say, I really think this guy could benefit from using an app like the Grace app, the senior manager will go, oh my God, I don't know anything about that. No, you have to drive up to Dublin to get that, and you have to make an application and it'll take you 8 weeks, not, why don't we turn on the computer and Google it? And that's quite difficult. That is the biggest barrier at the moment, is the gatekeepers who are afraid.
Aren't we rooting around the gatekeepers, though? Not just in every sector, in every part of the world. Isn't the internet breaking all that down?
The problem is that the gatekeepers have the funding and the gatekeepers have the power. And today, during the social entrepreneurship discussion, Eamon Fitzgerald from Social Entrepreneurs Ireland mentioned that there is a reticence in Ireland to recognise social entrepreneurship. It's almost a dirty word. And what I would have said is, let's look at citizen-led initiatives. Because if we call it citizen-led, we're talking about people who are in the situation, who have found a way around the situation, who have that expertise. We have to find a way to fund and support them, because we cannot be outsourcing to the holy orders. That island is finished for so many reasons, where you just park something and hand it over to the holy orders, and we'll give you $4 million a year, and when we cut $300,000 off your budget, the first thing you're going to do is cut service provision, not cut wages, not cut waste, but cut service provision. That's got to go, that's got to finish. We have to be in a new space where we say citizen-led initiatives are the way to go. And citizen-led initiatives are, by their very nature, able to pivot, which is the tech space. They're able to break things, they're able to move around things. They have no incumbent infrastructure that they prioritise over what they're supposed to be doing, which is helping people.
How did you find today's exchange and today's action at the Wild Atlantic Startups event here in Tralee?
I thought it was brilliant. I think it's brilliant because this new sector that we're all a part of is supposed to be borderless. We've got European companies basing themselves here because we have such an amenable economy and we have an educated, workforce. Why should it be based in Dublin? Why should you have to commute for 2 hours a day? Why can't you live somewhere beautiful and do the work you do? The only thing they need is good broadband. That will make it truly borderless. So once they solve that, everyone can live where they want to live and get up in their pyjamas and be working at 6:30 in the morning over a bowl of porridge while conducting business. Because that's the way I work. I am a full-time mum to 2 special needs teenagers, and that is my primary job. And if I was to farm them out to, put them in residential care, I think I would be a complete fraud. I mean, what I want to do is be their parent. That's the most satisfying thing that I do. They are also my beta testers. They are also my credibility. And I can do all of that in my pajamas because I'm lucky to live in a good broadband area, and I can do it at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm conducting an interview with ABC Radio in Australia or answering an email to someone in San Diego. This should be possible in a beautiful place like the west of Ireland.
Lisa Maree Domican, thanks for talking to us.
Pleasure.